My name is Mark Tomkins. I'm from Aubergine, and Aubergine are one of the leading expert firms in the country, providing full, accessible and compliant websites for parish and town councils. I'm going to give you a 5-minute masterclass on what website accessibility is. It is a way of presenting information for people with disabilities on your website. They might use assistive technology such as hardware or software to help them interact with websites and things, such as screen readers for people who have sight loss or low vision. That's going to help them get the information off the page if they don't necessarily in a visual way. That's quite important. Well, it matters because 1 in 5 people in every community has a disability or a situation that makes it difficult for them to access websites in the way that perhaps you or I do. They might have something like color blindness or dyslexia, but they might have physical disabilities as well. And that's really important. Unfortunately, websites are not built accessible by default. They've got to be made in a special way. Those pieces of software and hardware called assistive technology require a website to be built in a certain way so that it can interact and work for them. Just because it's a brand new website does not mean it's accessible or compliant. That's really important. The law has been around since 2018. It's known as WCAG 2.1 AA. From next month, October 2024, those regulations will change to WCAG 2.2 AA as the minimum standard. This is an international standard for web developers to follow to make sure that it meets the requirement and works with assistive technology. As I said, websites are not built in an accessible way by default. You've got to make sure that it's specified when you commission your website that it meets that level, because it won't by default. And if you do have a website that's not accessible, you are creating barriers for your parishioners. Those 20%, 1 in 5 of your community, they will struggle to access the information that they're legally entitled to. Public information is for everybody. So got to make sure that you have all of the information on the website without barrier. That is the key thing here, without barrier, because not just the legal right to access the information, but also it's the right thing to do. So we're going to get stuck into, oh yeah, there we go. That's what I just said. But it's the right thing to do. And we're going to get stuck into some tips, what you can do on a day-to-day basis. Let's go. Images and graphics. I'm sure you know this. If you add an image to a website, you've got to make sure it's got a textual description, alt text that describes what's in the image. If you've done a poster, also make sure that the salient info of the poster is typed out on the page, especially things like events, dates, times, locations. That's important. Another really, really important element is making sure link text is descriptive. Don't use click here or download. It's not descriptive enough. It doesn't tell the user where they're going. Make your link text descriptive, such as Parish Council Minutes, September 2024, or the Cambridge County Council website. That's really important. Also, another really important thing when it comes to links, don't paste the whole URL onto the web page, because assistive technology will read it 1 letter at a time. And I can tell you, HTTP : is very boring and very dull, and it makes it a terrible experience for people with disabilities. Good, clear, concise text typeface. Make sure that it's not too small, it's not colored, it's not too fancy. That's a really important thing to make sure that the person who's interacting with the page, they might not have a disability as such, but they might have a learning disability or a reading related disability. Just like as we get old, sight issues. So good, clear text and font. That's a really important thing. Not at the table, Carlos. Well, tables are terrible for accessibility. Tables don't have any navigation in them. You can't navigate yourself around a website. Have you ever tried tabbing your way through a table? It goes in a crazy order. So try and avoid tables. Only use them for numerical information. Tables that come out of Excel and things like that, financial information, that will have embedded headings and rows. So that's really important. Avoid tables if you can. Add structure to your page. Heading classes, H1, H2, H3, H4. That's really important. Make sure that your page is constructed using those, and don't choose the headings based on how they look. It's really important because that's how a lot of screen readers will navigate through the page. Colors and contrasts also very, very important. Making sure that, like my slide here, there's high contrast between the words on the page and the background. That's really important to make sure for people who have sight issues, color blindness, and similar sorts of issues. So moving on, making sure that the documents you upload are accessible. PDFs that come out of Microsoft Word, as long as you've ran the accessibility checker within Word, it's been there since 2016, the resulting PDF will be fine to use. Actually putting the content onto the web page is a really good idea. Last one. Well, a couple more. Write for people who aren't clerks. Try and avoid acronyms. That's really important. I know we need to use them from time to time, but explain what the acronyms are. We all on this session know what AGAR means, but your member of your public won't. That's just a simple explanation of because also screen readers will enunciate acronyms one letter at a time. So how do you do this? Well, measure twice, cut once. Make sure you've got a checking process. Use a free web browser tool called Wave by WebAIM. You can install it onto your Chrome or your Edge, and you can check a page at a time, and it'll tell you, give you a quick snapshot how accessible the page is and if you've got any errors that you need to address. That's a really good thing to make sure that you do. Making a statement. Make an accessibility statement. Please do not copy somebody else's accessibility statement. An accessibility statement is a reflection of your council's approach to accessibility. Make sure that you use one of the model documents available from your local council association or NAUC and update it. After all, it is an official document. Make sure that council ratify it. That's really important. It's a policy. Look, this is not an inconvenience. These regulations have been around since 2018. This is an opportunity to talk to 20% of your community that actually thus far have struggled to get your message. So it's really good for increasing that community engagement. But as I've said, it's not just the law, but it's the right thing to do. It's quite a complex thing. So if you get stuck, ask for help. Ask anybody at Aubergine. There's 12 of us, and we can set you off on the right foot. Thank you.